Stop everything and listen closely, because I'm about to tell you something that might sound absurd, but it's the absolute truth. Everything you believe about success is wrong. Everything. It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's not talent. I learned this the hard way, and what I'm about to share is so powerful that only 1% of people on the planet dare to apply it, and they control virtually all the money in the world. Now tell me, what if everything you've learned about making money is a lie? What if you could change that in a matter of months? I can't change your life, but you can. And I'm going to tell you something almost nobody realizes. It's not the money, it's not the job, it's not college that transforms a person's life. It's an idea. Seems too simple, right? But that's precisely what changes everything. Ideas change destinies. Think with me, how many times have you had a thought that could lead you down a better path, but you dismissed it because you thought you weren't capable? How many times did you want to start something new, but someone said, "That won't make any money," and you gave up? The truth is, you're not trapped by a lack of money. You're trapped because you haven't yet made the decision to act on a powerful idea. I was exactly there once. I had nothing, no formal education, no experience, no money. I worked jobs I was ashamed to even mention. One day, someone handed me a book, Think and Grow Rich. And you know what changed? It wasn't the book itself. It was the idea behind it. It was the possibility of thinking differently, of believing I could do something great. That idea took me from a paltry salary to $175,000 a year. And then, in a short time, I was earning over $1 million. And want to know what's even more impressive? I didn't become smarter, I didn't go to college, I didn't inherit anything. I simply followed an idea to the end. Now, let me ask you, what if you wrote down today an idea that could change your life in the next 12 months? What would it be? Maybe you think, but I don't know where to begin. I didn't either. I started by cleaning a single floor for $30 a month. It's ridiculous to think about it now, but that floor was the seed that made everything happen. In a short time, I was cleaning offices in several cities and earning more than I ever imagined. Not because I was special, but because I didn't let the idea die. I want you to understand something. You've already had incredible ideas in your head. I bet you've dreamed of starting a business, writing a book, changing careers, learning something new. And I also bet you discarded those ideas because you thought you lacked money, time, or experience. Now tell me, did those excuses change your life? Did they bring you prosperity? No. So why continue believing in them? The truth is, the biggest obstacle isn't the world out there. It's what happens inside your mind. It's you thinking, it won't work. It's you convincing yourself that you're not capable. But let me tell you, nobody is waiting for you to be perfect. Life is just waiting for you to take the first step. So here's something practical that may seem simple, but has enormous power. Take a piece of paper and write down right now one idea that, if put into practice, would change your financial life in the next year. It doesn't matter if it seems too big or too small. Write it down. This simple action can be the beginning of everything. When I did it, it seemed silly, but that's how it started. And if you think this is just motivation, answer me. What do you lose by trying? What do you lose if it works out? While you're thinking about that, remember one thing: ideas have power, but they only have power when you decide to act. How many people today are living incredible lives because one day they believed in something that seemed impossible? And how many are still trapped because they were afraid? Which group will you be in? Now let me provoke you with something that will stick in your head. What if that idea you're thinking about right now is the key to everything you've ever dreamed of? Will you bury it again? Or this time will you give it a chance to change your life? I grew up believing one of the biggest lies ever told. To make a lot of money, you need to be very intelligent. That idea was ingrained in me, and maybe it's in you too. Since childhood, we've heard that the smartest, the geniuses, are the ones who get rich. But answer me, how many people do you know who are brilliant, studied at the best schools, and yet live with debt, overdue bills and financial worries? And, on the other hand, how many people who barely finish school are millionaires? How is that possible? I asked myself that question too. When I started to prosper, I knew I wasn't any smarter than before. I hadn't gone to college. I didn't have any significant courses on my resume. So why was I earning more money than people with diplomas hanging on their walls? The answer is simple and yet powerful. It's not intelligence. It's a way of thinking that nobody teaches you. Now let me ask you something. How much of your financial life today reflects what you believe about money? If you think money is hard to come by, that it's for only a select few, that you have to suffer to achieve it, guess what? You will live exactly that, because your mind creates your reality. This is something that took me years to understand. I believed I had to work harder, make more physical effort, kill myself with work. But do you know what happened? I only got more tired and earned practically the same, until I realized that the key wasn't strength, it was awareness. It was aligning my mind with the right idea. And I'm going to tell you something that might shock you. The vast majority of people live as if they're hypnotized. They do the same things, think the same things, believe the same things, and expect a different result. Look at the statistics. Less than 1% of the people in the world control almost all the wealth. Is that luck? Is it coincidence? Of course not. These people learned something that nobody taught you in school. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are, what you believe is possible. Now tell me, how many times have you thought about an opportunity, but dismissed it because you thought it wasn't for you? How many times have you told yourself, this is too good to be true? This is proof of how your mind is programmed to limit you. And here's the hard truth. If you continue believing what you've always believed, you'll continue living as you've always lived. Nothing changes until you change your way of thinking. That's why I want to give you something practical now. Write down on a piece of paper the strongest belief you have about money. It could be, money is hard to come by. Money is for the few. I'm not good with money. Now look at that sentence and ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it something I accepted because I heard it since childhood? When I did this for the first time, I realized I was carrying ideas that weren't even mine. They were from my parents, from society, from school, and I chose to break free from them. Because here's the thing. You can continue believing that success is a matter of intelligence, luck, or inhuman effort. Or you can accept that the secret lies in how you program your mind. The choice is yours. But let me ask you something that could change everything. What if, a year from now, you look back and realize that the only thing separating you from the life you wanted was this wrong belief? Will you continue clinging to it? Or will you decide now to break this lie and create a new truth for yourself? I was sitting in the back of a huge hall, full of people, and I felt completely out of place. Up front, on stage, was a man named Bill Gove. He wasn't speaking, he was commanding the room. 1,000 people hypnotized by his every word, and I stood there in the back thinking, if I could speak like that, if I could have that confidence, I would change everything. But do you know what I felt? Fear. Fear of opening my mouth and sounding ridiculous. Fear of exposing myself. Then Bill said a phrase that hit me like a punch in the stomach. If I want to be free, I have to be me. Not the me that I think you think I should be. Not the me that my family thinks I should be. Not the me that my children think I should be. If I want to be free, I have to be me. That echoed in my head. I realized right then that I was living to please others. I wasn't being myself. And maybe that's exactly what's happening to you right now. How many dreams have you let die because you were afraid of what others would think? How many times did you want to try something new but didn't because you heard, "That's crazy"? How many times have you molded yourself to fit someone else's expectations? Do you know what the truth is? Living to please others is the most silent prison there is. You might even be breathing, but you're not living. I lived like that for years, hiding who I really was, trying not to attract attention, diminishing myself so as not to bother anyone. And inside, I was destroying myself. That day, I made a decision. I was going to discover who I really was. I was going to free myself from this false image I carried to fit into other people's world. But I'm not going to lie to you. It wasn't easy. Because when you decide to be yourself, you're going to bother people. There will be people who will laugh, criticize, call you arrogant. But do you know what's worse? Continuing to live trapped in a life that isn't yours. And now I want you to look within and answer. In how many areas of your life are you living to please others? At work, in your family, in your relationships, how many pieces of yourself have you left behind just to keep the peace? I want to propose something to you now. Choose one of these areas and write in all capital letters what it would be like if you were 100% yourself. No masks, no excuses. What if? What would change? Have you ever thought about it? Because if you haven't, it means you've never truly lived. I remember the exact day I decided I would speak in public. I was terrified, but I knew it was part of who I wanted to be. And you know how I started. Practicing in front of the mirror, my voice trembling, my hands sweating. I looked like a disaster, but I kept going because I understood that I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to be me. Over time, I not only learned to speak, I began to love speaking. Today, I speak to thousands of people worldwide, but it all started that day, in that room, when I heard those words. Now I ask you, what do you need to decide today to be yourself? What do you need to do, even if you're afraid to break free? Because I guarantee you, the fear won't disappear beforehand. It will disappear after you act. And if you don't, you'll spend your whole life wondering what if. So tell me, will you continue living to please others, or will you finally be free? You know what the cruelest prison is? It's not bars. It's not lack of money. It's not lack of opportunity. It's doubt. That voice whispering in your ear, what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? I was imprisoned by that voice for years, and I'll tell you, doubt not only trapped me, it almost destroyed me. I was so insecure that I wouldn't ask questions in public. You know why? Because I was afraid of what people would think, afraid of seeming stupid. I'd go to meetings and stay silent, even when I had enormous doubts. I'd rather leave without understanding anything than risk exposing myself. And let me ask you, how many times have you done that? How many opportunities have you missed just because you were afraid of what others would think? Maybe you dream of starting a business, but you don't because you think, what if I lose money? Maybe you want to change careers, but doubt paralyzes you. What if I fail? What if it's too late? Now tell me, how many years of your life have you surrendered to that fear? How many dreams have you buried because of doubt? I'll tell you something I learned from one of the greatest mentors I ever had, Earl Nightingale. He said, "We tend to minimize what we can do and, for some strange reason, believe that others can do things that we cannot." When I first heard that, I thought, it's true, but not for me. I thought he was talking about other people, not me. Until one day I understood. I had been spending my whole life diminishing myself, thinking others were better, more capable, more intelligent. And you know what I discovered? There's no one more capable than you. There are only people who decided to act despite their fear. Doubt never goes away on its own. It only goes away when you act. I had to act. I was terrified when I decided to start my first business. I knew nothing about cleaning, but I said yes. And you know what happened? I made many mistakes, But each mistake killed a little bit of the doubt. With each step I took, I realized, I can do it. And in the end, that small business became something huge, but none of that would have happened if I had let doubt take over. Now I want you to be honest. What have you failed to do in the last 12 months because of doubt? An opportunity, a project, a change in your life? Write it down, because that list is stealing your freedom, your happiness, your future. And I'm going to give you a challenge now, because you need to break this. For the next 7 days, choose something you want to do, but that scares you. It can be something simple, talking to someone, asking for an opportunity, posting something you've always wanted to, but have been ashamed to. And do it, even if you're afraid. You know what will happen? The first time will hurt. The second will be uncomfortable. The third will be easier. And when you realize it, the doubt will have lost its strength. Because here's the truth. Doubt is a thief. It steals your dreams, your peace, your life. But it only steals if you let it. So answer me, will you continue feeding that thief? Or will you start killing it now? Have you noticed how, after reading an inspiring book, watching a motivational video, or attending a seminar, you leave feeling excited, full of energy, ready to change everything? And then, suddenly, a week later, everything goes back to normal. It's like that flame goes out, and you start wondering, why does this always happen to me? I've been through this too. I read, watched, listened. I got excited. I thought I'd found the solution. But then, nothing really changed. And one day I understood why this happens to practically everyone. It's not a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of repetition. What you learn once doesn't stick in your mind. It's like writing in the sand. The first wave that comes along erases everything. And I'll tell you something that might sound crazy. When I heard Earl Nightingale say, "You have within you deep reserves of talent and ability," I thought I understood. Of course, I thought, I know that. But guess what? I didn't know. I thought I knew. Because hearing isn't the same as understanding. I needed to hear that same phrase more than 1,000 times to truly absorb it. 1,000 times. And that's exactly what differentiates those who have lasting results from those who live in ups and downs, those who repeat until it becomes a part of them. Because only when you install an idea in your subconscious does it begin to control your actions automatically. And that's what I want you to understand. As long as you live only on the impulse of momentary motivation, nothing will change. Now tell me, how many times have you given up because you thought it wasn't working, when in fact you just needed to persist a little longer? How many times have you started something amazing but stopped halfway because you didn't see quick results? And if you had continued, where would you be now? I remember my beginnings. I listened to Earl's recordings every day. It wasn't when I had time. It was every day. In the car, in the shower, at breakfast. I repeated it so much that the words began to be etched in my mind. And one day, without realizing it, I started acting differently. I didn't need to force it. It just happened. And that's when everything changed. You know what's interesting? Science proves this. Studies show that the brain needs constant repetition to create new patterns. That's how a habit is formed. That's how you reprogram your mind. So if you really want to change, it's not enough to hear it once. It's not enough to read a book and close it. You need to immerse yourself in that idea until it becomes part of who you are. Therefore, I want you to do something practical now. Choose a phrase that will guide your life from now on. It can be something simple like, "I have the power to create wealth." Now, repeat that phrase 50 times a day for the next 30 days. Yes, 50 times, out loud. Does it seem excessive? Then tell me, how much time have you wasted repeating negative things to yourself? How much time do you spend saying you're not capable, that you don't have money, that it won't work out? If you can repeat the negative effortlessly, you can consciously repeat the positive. Because here's the truth, you don't become what you desire, you become what you repeat. So I ask you, what will you choose to repeat from now on? Now I'm going to reveal something that seems almost unbelievable. Something that may shock you because it goes against everything you've been taught your whole life. The scandalous secret of success is that 99% live reacting and only 1% live creating. Yes, that's right. While most people wait for the perfect scenario to act, the 1% create the scenario they want to live. Most people look at their bank account and think, I can't spend, I can't invest, I can't dream now. They let the balance dictate the future. The 1% do the opposite. They first decide who they want to be, what they want to have, and begin to act as if they had already achieved it. They enter the frequency of what they desire before any physical evidence. Does it seem crazy? Then explain to me, how do you think people like Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, or Michael Jordan got where they got? Luck? Destiny? No. They learned to create, not to react. And let me tell you something that might bother you. If you're waiting for perfect conditions, you'll wait your whole life. There's no right time. There's no magic alignment out there. The only alignment that matters is within your mind. It's when you decide you're going to act now, even if everything says no. Now tell me, how have you been living? As a creator or as a reactor? Be honest. Are you in control or are you at the mercy of circumstances? Because here's the truth. When you react, you surrender your power. You become a victim of what happens. When you create, you take control and begin to attract opportunities that didn't even exist before. I remember when I started my cleaning business. Nothing indicated that I would succeed. I had no money, no experience, no one betting on me. But you know what I did? I acted as if I were already a successful entrepreneur. I spoke like one. I thought like one. I behaved like one. And suddenly the doors began to open. It wasn't magic, it was law. Because when you put yourself on the frequency of what you want, everything begins to conspire in your favor. And I'm going to ask you a question now that could change everything. What would you do today if you already had the life you want? How would you think? How would you act? Who would you talk to? Do it now. Because this is the secret that the 1% apply and the 99% ignore. They don't wait to feel ready. They become ready along the way. I want you to stop and reflect. How many opportunities have you missed waiting for the right moment? How many times have you said, when I have the money, I'll start, or when I feel ready, I'll try? And how much time have you wasted doing so? Because while you wait, creators are building. Here's the truth that can set you free. Reality is created from the inside out. Always. Nothing changes until you change the way you think and act. So I ask you, will you continue to be part of the 99% who react? Or will you choose today to join the 1% who create? There's a silent trap that destroys more dreams than any economic crisis, the habit of thinking small. You may not even realize it, but every time you tell yourself, this is too much for me, you're signing an invisible contract with mediocrity. And you know what's worse? Thinking small feels safe. It seems prudent, it seems logical, but it's an illusion that keeps you trapped in a life that doesn't satisfy you. I know because I lived it. I didn't dream big. I didn't believe I could have anything more than an ordinary job. I grew up hearing phrases like, be realistic, don't ask for too much, be content with what you have. And for a long time, I believed it. But let me ask you something now. Who invented that rule? Who said you have to settle for less? Because I'll tell you something that will change the way you see everything. Thinking small doesn't protect you. It slowly destroys you, killing your faith and your ability to create. I remember a specific day when I realized this. I was sitting, looking at a piece of paper with my goals, and to be honest, they were ridiculous, small, mediocre, things I already knew I could achieve. And I asked myself, why am I writing this if I don't feel anything? If my heart doesn't race when I look at this list, that's when I understood. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough to change your life. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself. When was the last time you dreamed so big it scared you? When was the last time you believed in something that seemed impossible? If it's been a long time, you're living far below your potential, because your power doesn't reveal itself in comfort. It only appears when you dare to leave logic and enter the realm of faith. And here's the most important part. When you think small, you attract small things. The law of attraction won't deliver a great result to someone who doesn't have the courage to dream big, because everything starts within your mind. If you can't imagine it, you'll never achieve it. I want you to do an exercise now. Take a piece of paper and write down a goal that seems impossible to you today. Something you've always wanted but never had the courage to put on paper because you thought it was too much. Written it down. Now look at it and ask yourself, who do I need to become to achieve this? What version of myself would have the courage to live this? Because that's where the secret lies. You don't have to wait to be that person. You can start acting like them now. And I'll tell you something that might hurt, but it's the truth. If you don't dream big, someone else will dream in your place. And you'll spend your entire life helping to realize their dreams. Do you want that? Do you want to spend your life building someone else's castle while living in a house you don't like? Or do you want to create something so big that even the people who doubted you will ask how you did it? So let me provoke you. What dream are you burying because you're afraid of its size? And answer me honestly. If that dream is so big, why are you still trying to convince yourself that you can't have it? Now tell me, will you continue to think small because it seems safer? Or will you decide today that you deserve much more than that? Because I can guarantee you one thing, thinking small won't protect you. It will only keep you trapped in the life you want to leave. What you've just heard may have sounded simple, but that's exactly what separates those who stay in the same place from those who build an extraordinary life. The way you think, act, and decide from now on. Nothing changes if you don't change within yourself first. This is the most important point. It all starts in your mind. Now, if you're feeling like this made sense to you, don't stop here. The next step is already in front of you, in the next video that's appearing on the screen. There, you'll climb another step in your wisdom evolution and become 1% better than you are now. Thank you for being here with me. I'll see you in the next video, because that's where everything will make even more sense to you. Click now and continue with me on this journey.